chaos you're going to cause than have children have daddy issues or mommy issues, meaning you're just not there at all.
But I think you're going to have both.
Yeah, you're going to have both.
We all got daddy issues, we all got mama issues.
But there's different levels to it, though, Nick. There's different levels to it.
But at the end of the day, because
that's what I'm saying. No matter what, Dr. Bryant is trying to make her life choices seem like they're better than Nick Cannon's. It's like if you're putting on sneakers and you're talking about your heels come up, you're still running, you have some issues. Your dad, there's no way you don't. With her crazy upbringing, that she's talking about teen parents. She said that was the first thing that came out of her mouth. I'm a product of teen parents. And then her dad was in the streets. She was like, there's nothing not street about my dad. Like, he's a street dude. He's a street guy. How, like, I can't even imagine what her mother was doing. Like, how are you growing up and not having parent issues? Like, daddy issues, mommy issues, all them issues. So she's unpacked. She's still holding on to trauma as well. No matter how much she's trying to look put together because she got Murray, she's still holding on to trauma as well. And most married, if not all, married people are. You don't have it all figured out, and you're not better than people because you're married or because you chose not to have kids. That's the reality that everyone has to face. You are not better than anyone because you got married or because you chose to be childless. Okay? So, like, everyone is living their own separate lives. And people are choosing what makes them happy. And for some people, it is just, I want my children. I don't care about a partner, or I don't want to be married to anyone. Like, I could be in a long-term relationship. I could be in a polyamorous situation. I could be single. And it's just about me and my kid or me and my kids. So that's the beauty of America, is we have freedom. And so everyone can choose the type of life they want. And there's no reason to judge another person's lifestyle because you don't agree with it. Like, who cares? If you're not hurting anybody, why does it matter? And of course, I'm saying that objectively because obviously everyone's actions affect everyone else in some way, shape, or form. But like, for the most part, on a daily basis, if you're not hurting anyone, you're not trying to hurt anyone, you're not a bad person, you're not a mean person, what's the big deal? Be childless. Be married. But by all means, do not think you're better than people who are living a different type of family dynamic or unorthodox way. Now, even calling it unorthodox is ridiculous, but because, of course, childless will probably be considered unorthodox too, because I don't think that's the typical thing as well, to not have children and be married, or to at least want to have children. So we can all judge everyone. You know, a lot of people who don't like religion, we can look at married people sideways, like, your way of life is weird, or, you know, or I don't agree with it. But I feel like people need to come out of thinking they're better than others by saying, I chose this, so I'm better, I can look down on you. No, you can't. You can't. The only judge is God. People are doing what they feel is what they need to spiritually be doing. If that's how they feel like that's how they have to move, then that's their purpose. They're walking in their higher purpose. They're doing exactly what they're meant to be doing. There are single mothers in the Bible. There's childless people in the Bible. There's married people in the Bible. We can all coexist. It's possible. Like, I know people are struggling because of this narcissistic thing. I don't know, the internet be interneting, but people are just like, oh, it has to be my way, or we can look down on you, or no, it has to be my way, because everyone can find something wrong with the other person's lifestyle, including, like, if you are in the LGBTQ community, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, like, it's like everyone can judge everyone all day long. But where does that really get you, except a lot of hatred in this country? Instead of us coming together, we're constantly dividing. Oh, you're this color, I'm black, I'm white, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm childless, I have kids, I'm married, I'm single, I'm unmarried. Like, it's constant pitting yourself against others. And when people do that to me, I see a person who's struggling with self-esteem, a person who's possibly jealous of what another person is doing with their lives. Because if you're happy, you wouldn't need to compare yourself to other people. You would be living exactly the way you want to live, and you don't have to look down on others to be feeling like you're an amazing person and to have high self-esteem about yourself and confidence in your life choices and in yourself and in your life. You would just be living your life. So like, I can't think of an example where I would be like, oh, I got pregnant, so I'm better than the girl who didn't. Like, the only reason I created my channel, people like me who are speaking out more because this is what's just spiritually supposed to be happening. We do not want to be doing this. We don't want to say the things we have to say to, like play the, basically tit for tat. But I feel like there needs to be balance because the universe wants balance. It will always balance itself, which is why more people like me are speaking out against this quote unquote status quo or majority or whatever, because it's time. But I would rather not be like, oh, I have kids, so my situation is better than what you have going on because of my choice. Like, it's weird. It's asinine. It's pointless. So what? You didn't have kids or you got married. Good for you. How does that affect me again? Because I don't know. I don't care. I do not care. And if people say, oh, why, if you don't care, why did it? Because you're bringing me into your bullshit. Like, if you left my name out of your mouth as a single mother, I would not have this channel. If you weren't talking crap and calling us baby mamas and trying to be disrespectful and basically being, not trying, you all are outright being blatantly disrespectful, I wouldn't be here. So thank you for, motivating me to finally make this channel, because it took forever. I really didn't want to, but here I am. I'm an introvert, which is why I said that in my intro. I'm introverted. I do not need attention. That's why I don't show my face. I do not like attention. I am very okay with just me, myself, and I, like my little bubble, my world that I've created for myself, with my children, my family, my friends. I'm good. I'm so good where I'm at. So I'm trying to support Black women. Or if I'm, somehow hearing about red pill clowns, it's like, why are they talking about us again? Like, it's just weird. I mean, until last year, November of last year, I didn't have a channel. I wasn't talking about childless people. I wasn't talking about the incels. I wasn't talking about married people. And I don't know if people are doing it for content. Whatever they're doing is hurtful, and it will affect people. It does affect people negatively in real life. Like, people try to say, oh, the internet's not real life. It is. It is, and it does manifest itself in actual, when you come away from the computer and you go to the store. These people have these mindsets. They've aligned with people online. They can find their quote unquote people, and that to me reinforces whatever negative stereotypes or behaviors they're having for themselves. They're feeling validated and they're feeling emboldened. So now they're harming people in real life who are living lives that they don't agree with. It's kind of like racism and sexism. And people who discriminate against people because of their gender identity or their sexual orientation. This isn't anything new. So for people to think they're not harming anyone by, spewing this rhetoric online, you're lying to yourself. Or you just don't care. But you are harming people. You are making people look at people a certain way. And that dehumanizes people. It makes people feel like it's okay to harm those people that are the other, that doing something a lifestyle they don't agree with. So like I said, I wasn't putting anything out about anyone's life until I heard about my life being put down, constantly being bashed. I'm like, okay, when did we get on the chopping block? Like, I didn't know we were bothering anyone. We're too busy raising our kids. We're too busy dealing with the fact that the deadbeat has ran off and isn't helping. We're fighting for child support. We're fighting for some help with, like fighting for custody or fighting for some help with the kids because we need a break. Like, single moms have enough going on. We're not even thinking about other people like that. Maybe some of us want to be married someday. Maybe some of us do regret it because we just had a baby to keep the man. Whatever. But we're dealing with our own stuff. Why there needs to be people talking about us all the time. I'm like, okay, so is there someone out there talking about you all? Because I don't know where they are. Like, who cares that you're married? Who cares that you're childless? There might be some people, I feel really bad for people who are like, oh, I regret having my kids. I'm guaranteeing you it's because they had a child for a man or for a woman, thinking with their codependent selves that this person was never going to leave or was going to keep the person there or was going to quote unquote fix their marriage or their relationship, and it didn't work out. Like, just have kids because you want kids. That's, to me, common sense. That's a pretty big thing to do, getting pregnant or getting someone pregnant, a whole year later having this child, like preparing for this child. Like, it's so big. How in the world are you only doing it for another person? Like, it's okay to be like, I'm in love. We want to have this child together. We, not him. I'm not having a baby because he wants me to have it. Like, are you kidding me? And that's how women look at women. Like, I heard just the other day, I was watching one of my other videos, and I heard this woman call Jhené Aiko a human incubator. Do you see how that's dehumanizing to a woman? You literally just made her into an inanimate object. An incubator? A human incubator? Like, seriously? I could liken that to people, how they talked about slavery and slaves. That's vile. Like, how does anyone have, like, I could call you a wife appliance. Like, I could call you a person taking up space. If you're childless and you don't do anything for anyone but just eat and lay up in the house, like you're just like a lump on a log. We can all objectify people, but it doesn't make sense. It's like, how are you mad when men objectify you, but it's okay for you to objectify others? You know what it feels like to objectify people, so why are you doing it? Jhené Aiko is not a human incubator. She's a mother. She's someone who wanted to be a mom. She's a woman. And we talk about pro-choice. People on the panel yesterday made a really great point when they said, when people talk about choice, it's just like when people talk about women being free to stay home or go to work. It's always this group that's like feeling like I'm doing it right and I can look down on you. Just go live your effing life. Like, I'm just so over it. Why the fuck do you care what I'm doing? Okay, I'm staying home with the kids and you're working. So what? So what? It's like vice versa. Like, I feel like the people who talk about the other people are jealous. And it could be the single parents, the person at home, the stay-at-home mom, or the stay-at-home dad, or the person working. Like, everyone's looking at the grass being greener on the other side. Like, just live your life. If you don't like your life, go to work. If you don't like your life, stay home with the kids. Figure it out how to do that. Figure it out. Stop hating on people and then projecting your BS into the universe so that everyone else has to know about it. No one cares. I don't want to hear about it. And stop trying to make my life bad because you chose badly. You chose different things in your life where it didn't work out the way you wanted to. So now you're angry at everyone. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I could just be here all day, and I lost my train of thought on something else I was going to say, but yeah, it's not okay. Just let people live. Like, live and let love and let live, or however that saying goes. Like, allow people to just live in peace. Everyone does not. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about, the choice. Because we're talking about Jhené Aiko, and it's like in any woman, like, pro-choice means I can choose to unalive my baby / end my pregnancy or terminate the pregnancy, or I can choose to have the baby. And even if I have the baby, I may put the baby up for adoption, or I may raise the baby myself, etc., etc., etc. But that's the beauty of choice. It wouldn't be pro-choice if there wasn't a choice. Pro-choice is not pro-abortion. Like, it's not automatically, I'm not pro-life, so I'm just pro-abortion. Like, no, it's like, are there 3 different groups that I don't know about? I don't know. But is pro-life, people who are saying you have to have the child. And there's people who's pro-choice, meaning you get to choose. You have autonomy over your own body, which means you can choose to use your own body to create life or to end the beginning of life, or to, So it's crazy to me. You can terminate your pregnancy, or you can continue, allow it to continue. It's that simple. That's choice. You can't call it pro-choice if the only option is to not have your child and abort it. That's kind of just pro-abortion. You can't say pro-choice and then be mad at people who decided, yeah, I want to be a mom. I think I'm gonna keep it, or I can't. I hate when people call babies it, but or they'll be like, I can't go through with it, so I just went ahead and had the baby, and I may put the baby up for adoption or whatever. But choices, people have them. It's okay. It's okay. We make so many choices every day in our lives. I think I read somewhere people make about 500 different decisions every single day. Are you going to drive this way to work? Are you going to wear that? Are you going to have coffee? Are you going to eat a egg sandwich instead? What are you going to have for lunch? What are the kids doing? Which snack are they taking? What are they going to wear? How are they going to wear their hair? All day long, we're making choices. We're all making decisions all day long. It's just another decision that someone made that has nothing to do with you. You all are strangers. They don't know you from Adam. They weren't, I promise you, they weren't thinking about you when they went forward with their decision. Like, it is 9 times out of 10. I mean, there may be people who are like, I'm sticking it to this group, and I'm going to do, such and such group, and I'm going to have these kids to piss them off, or I'm going to not have these kids to piss, if you're doing all that, you do need some therapy. If you're thinking about people that heavy as you're making these very personal choices, you do need some help.
I'm not a fan of Freud's perspective, is that it all comes from some reverting back to your childhood and some, because we need to stop making those excuses and blaming mama and daddy 100%. For who we are.
100%.
You can blame mama and daddy for the cause, but you can't blame them for the effect.
There you go. Or your choices later on once you become an adult.
Once you understand, I went through some shit, but now I'm gonna.
But that's why mental health therapy, coaching, psychologists, seeing that, going to it. I go to one myself as a doctor. Everyone needs to be in it, because it's not about us as a professional telling you your choices were right or wrong. It's about us helping you figure out the root of that choosing and the norm that you're in, and just
see, and it's like that's a complete contradiction of what she's doing, which is what I just said earlier. She is telling him what he's doing is wrong. She's been doing it since the episode began. She's been refuting everything, trying to make it negative of whatever. Oh, your child's gonna go be a narcissist. Your child, you're doing this because you're not with the mother. Da, 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 da. I guess from TV, even when I was in therapy myself, usually the therapists don't talk this much. They usually just sit there and listen, and then they ask you a few questions like, so how did you feel about that? And they make you sit with feelings and think about what you felt, and then they might chime in at the end and tell you, here's your homework to work through whatever you're dealing with. She is talking as much as Nick Cannon. Like, I couldn't even get a word in to say what I want to say, because they're just going back and forth, back and forth. It seems like a sparring session. Like, it's almost like they're arguing. So it was really disingenuous for her to say, oh, therapy's not about judging you. And then she even calls it your norm. Yeah, correct. It's his norm. So what are you doing? If you're treating him Like, say he's in a session with her and he's having therapy, because I don't know. I'm new to this channel, so I'm not really sure what the purpose of the channel is. But say that that's what it's supposed to be, is like a doctor. What was that one guy's name? He was a doctor on some reality show. And she's like, being a therapist, like Ayana Vincent. I don't know if she's a therapist, but let's assume she is. Like, say that's like what's happening. It's like, well, is that really what it's about? It's like you're just trying to indoctrinate me or brainwash me or convince me that your way is better? Is that what it's about? Is that what the therapy? Because if that's it, I don't want no therapy. It's like my therapy should be about working through any negative feelings I have and like trying to figure out why I'm having these feelings or why am I responding to certain things. Like, say I want marriage and maybe I'll go get therapy because I'm like, I really want this. So how can I work past whatever negative connotations or feelings I have about it so that I can go get it, and that's what the therapy about. But it doesn't seem like Nick Cannon has a problem with his life. He seems okay with the arrangements. Of course, he may have other mental health issues. Obviously, everyone to me does. Married, not married, childless, child having kids, whichever. Everyone has mental health issues because of racism, sexism. There's like so many other reasons. Sexual identity, sexual orientation, the type of religion you are, etc., etc., etc. And so I would like to see her more like treating Nick as the person he is. Like, is there something he's trying to achieve? And why can't he achieve it? Why can he not accomplish the goal? What is stopping him? What is getting in the way? That's what I thought I would see. But no, it's more just indoctrination of like, I'm married. I'm better than you. I made better choices. You have to be like me. And Nick Cannon will probably never be like her. He doesn't show any desire to want her life. And it's funny because people don't realize that when they're like Christians, they're some of the most judgmental people, by the way. But when they're Christians and they're married and they have their nuclear family, like they just look down on everyone, even though God said not to judge people. But they look down on everyone, and then they'll also feel like everyone wants their life. And they just cannot imagine for the life of them that no one wants your life. Like, no, like, if people are living a certain way, they are perfectly happy where they are. People don't want your life. Even if they wanted marriage, they don't want your marriage. Your marriage could suck. It could be bad. It could be abusive. It could be neglectful. It could be boring. It could be loveless and sexless. It could be a lot of things. So you can't sit on a high horse like, well, I have a husband. Nobody wants your husband but you. Or some other pick-me who's like desperate for marriage. So why you're sitting up high thinking that you're God's gift and you're all that because you got married, like, no. No. I would like to see more people assuming that people are living the life they want to live until the person says, oh, I wish I was married, or I wish I had this, I wish I was doing that, wish I had kids, wish I didn't have kids. Then you can come and give them therapy. Like, why are you feeling that way? Because these are negative feelings that are stopping you from happiness. Let's work through it. Not, oh, I'm just coming in and just judging your life to the utmost. And essentially telling you have to have the life I have, or you're just not doing life right. Like that's what I'm getting from her, is like these snobby type vibes. Like, I'm doing it correctly because I have the nuclear family. And I'm like, make me barf. Make me barf. Nobody wants this. Like, I won't say nobody wants it because obviously a lot of people want it, but there's a lot of people who don't.
Drawing out a plan that works for where you want to be, because a lot of people are still in the environment that they don't want to be in because that's the childhood environment they've taken with them, and they keep recreating the same pathology, and they're going crazy in that. There's lack in that because the evolution hasn't taken place. And it's not because they don't want to evolve, Nick. It's because they don't have the effective tools to do so. People who come in my session are not there saying, I always just wanted to be messed up, I don't want to evolve. No, they're saying, like, Had I known this, doc, 5 years ago, I swear to God, I would have moved on it. Had I had this tool, I would have moved quicker. Had I knew this is what evolution looked like, I would have jumped a long time ago. Had I known I can jump without a life jacket, but I felt safe within myself, I would have been a professional jumper.
Right.
Like, people just need to know, how do I do it? And one thing we all want to know is that we're going to be okay when we do. Everybody just wants to be okay in whatever they're doing and wherever they're going. Will I be okay?
Right.
Will I, whether you there or you not, doc, will I be okay?
Right.
And they're only able to be okay when you teach people a sense of self, meaning who are you? How do you govern you? How do you manage, which is a better word for control, manage who you are? And how do you produce the experience you want? Because you don't create my experience, I do. I already came here with the experience I want. Right. You can't create that for me. You already came here with the experience you want. That's the self-mastery of knowing how to create that. And when you have that type of knowledge, you'll never be perfect, but you can somewhat try to create a norm for your child. But once they become adults like you and I did, they go and do what they gonna do anyways. So at that point, you've done what you can do. And if you're not in more of a polyamorous, relationship like you are, and you're more monogamous one-on-one, you're hoping that you put your partner first enough to where y'all still have a damn relationship, and you guys can continue to lead by example to your grown children on what a healthy relationship looks like. And it's not perfection. Another thing is this whole toxicity and dysfunctional thing, and I'm leaving this person because they're toxic. You're going to be alone. Not you, I'm saying people. You're going to be by your damn self, because let me explain something to you. If you get someone who's not toxic, it's because they're not human. In every relationship,
that's what I was saying in our first section.
Yes, every relationship has some level of healthy dysfunction and some level of healthy toxicity. There's no way for you and I to cleave together without doing some of this bumping. Right. It's not going to work like that. So we have to be okay with doing this. But the only recipe to a long-term successful relationship is to never leave. To never leave. That's the only way you can get.
I don't agree with that at all. Oh my goodness, girl, what are you talking about? Oh, hell no. She's basically saying put up with a struggle marriage and struggle love. Oh, hell no. No. I do not believe that every relationship has some toxicity and that that's healthy. I've never even heard of that before. Healthy toxicity? Arguing is not toxic. Toxic is like when you're intentionally just doing manipulative, hateful things, vindictive things to harm your partner. No, not, why aren't you washing the dishes? I don't know. I didn't feel like washing. These little petty arguments that couples have, that's not toxicity. And I feel like she's trying to set it up for you just have to be in it. No matter what, you're in it. And that's literally what she just said, was no matter how bad it is, he could be cheating on you, you could be cheating on him, he could be beating you. To me, that's toxic. Toxic as muck. Like when it starts to become abusive, that's when it's toxic. Having an argument over where to eat, which restaurant to go to, is not toxic. I absolutely believe that a healthy marriage, a healthy long-term relationship, a healthy polyamorous relationship, it doesn't have toxicity in it. You want people to be happy, who you care about and love, and you're going to do what you need to do to ensure that. And it's not going to be, and they're going to want the same for you. That's a healthy relationship. So it's not going to be, I'm taking advantage of this person who wants the best for me, and vice versa. Yikes, this is scary. So I feel like, again, she's projecting her lifestyle onto others and saying, this is so much better. Because even when she said, whether you're married and she's somehow with Nick being in a polyamorous situation, just know to put your children, just agree with the other parent. I felt like she was trying to imply that because you're married, people are automatically doing this, when earlier in the interview we just said, earlier in this therapist session or whatever this is, the episode, she did not say that. She said the opposite. So it's you can be married and still put the kids first, which would be, really toxic. And that's why marriages don't work when they're like that, because there is no such thing as healthy toxicity. Like maybe she's not understanding that word. People love to like latch onto words that have become popular, like woke. And it's like, no, you can't make every word mean like a lot of different things. It means what it means, and that's it. There's no such thing as healthy toxicity. That's an oxymoron. That's a contradiction. That's like food moldy in the fridge. Like it's either good for you to eat it or it's bad for you. There is no good yummy moldy food. Like it's just like you got to pick a side. It can't be both. And healthy toxicity, absolutely not. This is just another brainwashing into being together for better or for worse. And it sounds like an absolute nightmare to me.
30, 40 years to never leave. Because we're going to go through some things. And there's going to be a lot of things that I say, this is it. This is the non-negotiable. Right? But if I really am in it to be in it forever, like from the beginning, before I meet a man, I'm saying
And I feel like that's very codependent too. When you just feel like I have to be with this person no matter what we go through. We just agree we're never going to leave. We're never going to break up. We're never going to get a divorce. Even after the kids are grown and having their own families, we're still stuck together because we're never. Which of course we know a lot of couples do break up or divorce once the kids leave because they were just there for the kids. Is like that is toxic, I feel, and very highly codependent to be like forever. I need to be with this person forever. It's okay. It's a problem. I don't even know where to go with it. It's just like, wow, this is crazy. Because it's really making me look at marriage and a lot of things in a clearer, almost like a clearer fashion, like in a clearer mindset that I typically would not even think about marriage like that. And so it's like, wow, okay, so this is like super codependency. Because you're like, I don't care how toxic you are, and she, how toxic I am to her, or, so it's still healthy. Because as long as we say we're never going to part, it's healthy. No, it's dysfunctional. Because your children are watching you argue and fight, and that could also turn kids off from marriage. So, like she said, they're going to leave and do what they want to do, right? So,
when I commit, I'm just doing this forever. That means I'm signing up and forgiving you before you do any of the bullshit you may come with.
Don't ever tell a guy that you're never going to leave him, that you're forgiving him before he starts all his bullshit. Like, what the F is that? That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. I heard some women talking about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, and as far as her being a doctor, that's something else I want to talk about in another video, but because I did some research, I was trying to figure out what her credentials were. What was she a doctor in? Because you always hear these names of like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, Dr. this, Dr. that. And she was giving like a Yana Van Sant type energy. And I think it's kind of interesting how she seems to be kind of popping out onto the scene out of nowhere. Like, I'm sure people have seen her before, but it just seems like her track record is not like, oh, I'm a psychologist. Because I heard they were putting her on Basketball Wives or something. And I'm like, as what? As a psychologist for these women? Like, I just don't understand how that works together. Who is she married to that plays basketball? It's just interesting. I don't watch her shows anyway, but my point is, she's really going down this dangerous path. And if I don't speak on it, no one probably will. You are setting women up for such a dangerous, dysfunctional, violent, abusive marriage. You do not tell a guy that you forgive him before he even messes up and that you're basically that I'm going nowhere. Not basically. You're telling this guy, I'm going nowhere. There's nothing you can do where I'm going to go anywhere. Like, it can be toxic. It can be a healthy toxicity, which is not a thing. And I'm already going to forgive you and I'm going to have deliverance. I don't even know what that means. And this is why I don't deal with religion anymore, because it is an effing fairy tale. Like, people use it and they drop these words here and there. And it's BS. It's total BS. Deliverance from what? Him? He's a demon? What are you delivering yourself from? It sounds like just abracadabra. It sounds like BS, something that you're just coming up with to excuse the fact that you don't plan on leaving this guy because you're so desperate for marriage. You're so desperate to be a wife. You're so desperate to have a ring and have his last name and just be identified as a wife for the rest of your life, no matter how stupid he is, no matter how dumb he acts, no matter how much he embarrasses you. You're going to be just sitting there looking crazy. I hate that women were ever brainwashed about this, for better, for worse, to death till we part. Like, it has been the worst life sentence that they could have ever tricked us into. I mean, we are fighting for it. We are willingly fighting to be in these awful marriages. And you hear her talking, and it's like, this is not a fairy tale. Do you know what the black femicide rates are? Do you know the high divorce rate? Do you know how many males, black, men, just men in general, are on the DL, bringing stuff back to their wives? How much these men cheat, how promiscuous they are, how they have babies on their wives. Like, does she pay attention, or does she have her blinders on like so many other women because they're so obsessed with latching on to a man, hooking themselves a husband? Anybody can get married. Go down to the local church. You're going to find a husband there somewhere. I mean, they literally brainwash everyone in any church you go to get married. So if you want to get married, go get married. It's not really that hard. That's what annoys me, is people act like it's so difficult. And they're so pressed to get that title of wife. Because I know men do not talk like this. Black men do not like getting married. So she sounded like a whole Ebony K. Williams again to me, because I'm like, you're about to be trying to struggle to get this struggle love / struggle marriage. And I don't know how you're going to do that. She's already 42. She's almost, her birthday's in September. I think it's September 6th. She'll be 42 in September. Girl, you're not getting any younger. And why? I mean, it's just crazy to me. The whole thing is crazy. And this is supposed to be another thing you're not supposed to talk about. Women waiting forever to have kids, like they have all day. So what, you gonna just have one kid, and then of course now you got to freeze eggs and IVF and surrogates and adoption and all these other things. And this is what people don't talk about. They don't talk about the struggle that couples go through because they wanted to wait to be married and have everything perfect before they have their child. And then you're struggling to have a child, and you're having to jump through hoops and pay all this money and do all this extra stuff to have kids. And the reality is, a lot of us don't have that kind of money. We don't have that luxury. So if we want children, we have to have children by a certain age if you're a woman, and that's just what it is. So that's another truth no one talks about. But yeah, don't ever, if you take nothing else from this video, y'all, please do not ever tell a man that no matter what he does, you're never going to leave him. No matter what he does, you've already forgiven him before he even starts his BS. Please don't do that desperate shit. Please don't. Because men are going to do what they want to do anyway, but you're going to make it so much easier for him to do what he's going to do. Because why not? He knows you're not leaving. You already said you're not leaving. The number one power that women have is the power of being able to walk away from somebody that she loves, even if he's hurting her. If he's hurting you, like cheating on you, whatever, I don't care if you just had a kid with him. Like, the strongest woman is a woman that can walk away from that man, even if she still loves him. That's what men respect, is that. Knowing that his wife will leave his ass is what keeps men towing the line. It's sad that you have to have that, but I think that can work for men and women. If you know you with somebody that ain't gonna go nowhere no matter what you do, who isn't gonna show out? She's setting you up for failure, ladies. I'm just telling you right now. You can take my advice. You can listen to her because she's a doctor. she has doctor in front of her name or whatever, but I'm telling you, off somebody who don't even care about marriage, do not do that. Do not do that. If you want to sign up for an abusive, raggedy ass struggle marriage, tell your husband ahead of time that you're never going to leave him no matter what craziness he does. You're going to forgive him before he even starts with the BS. Seriously? Girl, you would probably end up on one of these true crime shows. Like, please don't. Please don't. Because I'm surprised women are even still dating, let alone just so pressed on marriage. I'm just in shock right now. We know way too much about men. We on the same internet. Like, I'm just like, y'all ain't in these internet TikTok streets. Like, I just can't. And to still be spewing this kind of rhetoric, I'm just like, there has to be a bag somewhere for this. Like, there's got to be a market. Somebody's got to be making money talking like this. Because people are very desperate still to get married. And I'm just like, gosh, get over it. Move on. Move on. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Life will go on. And stop shitting on people who don't care about it. Who've evolved past that. Evolved past codependency. Because I was codependent once. I just needed to have myself a boyfriend. I was so happy when I was in a relationship. Like, we've all been there. But I know too much now. How am I still aspiring for the same crap 20, 30, 40 years later? Like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I know, companionship is great. I'm not going to say, oh, I don't want a relationship ever. But if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm very picky. Because if I wanted to just pick anything, obviously I could be with somebody. That's not what, I don't want just whatever. I'm not desperate. I want a healthy, really highly beneficial relationship for myself and my children. And he's never coming around my kids. So that's not even, when I talk about me dating, I'm talking about my kids graduating from high school. Like, they are moving out the house. Even if I were to date and my kids were older, not even a little, like much older, and I was dating, he would never meet them. They don't need a dad. They have a dad. Heck, they almost have 2 dads. Like, they have a family. They have support. They don't need a daddy, a new guy around them. He would never. It's like, I don't even know if I'd ever bring them up, because why? You don't need to know about them. You don't even need to know their names. And I'm telling you this now, ladies. Guys kind of like when women are mean to them. Because I've been nothing but mean. Whenever I'm nice, it never works out for me. But anyway, that's just my tip. Don't be a doormat. Don't go into the marriage talking about, I'm forgiving you for everything. Ciao, bye. You think he about to forgive you for everything you ever do? No, he's not. He may say it because it sounds good, but let you step out one time. He is packing them bags. Unless you're paying for a husband, then maybe he has nowhere to go. But otherwise, he gone.
You may come with, and that's challenging, but that's what real commitment is. Commitment is I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, no matter how I feel. That goes back to what? Emotional intelligence.
Right.
Emotional intelligence is a nucleus to any healthy relationship. If I'm committing to you and you piss me off, I've committed to stay. So where am I going? Where am I going? Doesn't mean I can't take a break. Doesn't mean I can't take a pivot. I can't go to brunch. I can't meditate. Can I take a weekend of woosah? But that means I'm not leaving you. And as an abandoned woman, thank God I've evolved into a place of deeper than just not leaving you, meaning leaving the relationship. But I've also had to learn to not leave you in this emotion of distraught. Because leaving you while you're in your emotion is the pit of abandonment. That's worse than me walking out and returning. I should be able to sit in this with you, upset or not upset, until our emotions do whatever they're going to do and we get back to baseline. Right. Because that is the epitome of deliverance. That's the epitome of commitment. Abandonment is, you know what? I can't deal with my emotions, so screw yours, I'm out of here. And when I feel I'm okay and I've regulated, because I don't know how to do it, I'll come back. But it's still an emotional roller coaster, and abandonment is an emotional roller coaster. What I need you to do is sit with me in this until if it take a day or 2 weeks or 5 hours, don't leave me in my pain. Even if you're just my friend, don't sit with me in this. Now, if you got to go to work, that's it. Baby, I got to go to work. But when I get back, let's continue to process this.
But like you said, if it's an emotional intelligence scenario, at some point, if I've tried to reason with you and you're still irate,
right,
or you're still non-compromising, I gotta let you sit in that and let you have that, and then hopefully on another occasion we can find some resolve.
There you go. But you also have to, if it's someone you're already in a relationship with, and say you have already grown and evolved into your emotional intelligence, and they're just not there yet, then of course you kind of have to just wait it out, do a little deliverance, wait it out, do a little deliverance, do what's best for you. But when you are, say, a person who's single or dating, you're not already in something that has been chaotic and there's some division and you're trying to atone or get that stuff to be jailed back, as a single person, you're learned, because I've learned when I was very hostile, and I'm coming with it. Like I said, we come with who we are. Don't nobody give us nothing. So when I was already ready to come with it, I met men who gave me the reason to come with it. Now that I'm in a place where I'm like, I'm not going, not that I'm not going there with you because I have to try. I'm just not built like that no more.
Right.
And I don't have the desire to do that. The men that I meet, and I'm dating, I'm single, but I'm dating, the men that I meet, they ain't perfect, but the conversation is more of a dialogue like this, Nick. I have yet, knock on wood, because I don't want to, yelled or raise my voice at a man in the past 3 years I've been dating, because of not the men, but because of what I'm calibrating, and because my approach to a man is not like, I wish you would. No, it's now like, listen, we can talk this.
What in the actual F did I just hear? She's not married. Ooh, Lord. Okay. What? So this is a reactionary video. I am watching it for the first time in real time with you all and reacting to the video and offering commentary as I see it. And I am so shocked right now. When she said I'm single, I was waiting for her to say, like, this is like an example. What the F is happening here? I'm so lost. What is going on? It's almost like halfway through the therapy session. And I'm like, did Nick Cannon come to her and say, I want to be married? Like, I don't understand why we just spent the first 24 minutes talking about life as a married person with a nuclear type family situation when that's not Nick Cannon's situation. Was she playing devil's advocate? Was she using it as an example? Like, I'm so confused now.
Out, you know what I mean? Or we don't have to. But I'm not going to do this with you. And I very much, I think you can tell by my personality, I very much stand on my square, and I very much stand on business. So I don't have to emasculate you for you to know I stand on business, because more men have said, damn, you ain't no joke, by me saying, listen, do we want to have resolve right now? Because I'm not about to do this with you. And you'll see a man's whole everything. I'm shift like who the hell is she? Like, what just happened right now? Because like you said, they're not used to that.
I want to touch on that for a second, because you bring up some great points, but even specifically to the single women that are watching, and they see you as a strong example. They see the empowerment. They see, but I mean, at the end of the day, what would be your advice or your insight to? I mean, because you are a single woman as well, and is the desire to get married eventually?
It is. I'm in my choosing. I said 4 or 5 months ago, I said, okay, God, I'm in my choosing stage. I'm not gonna call up another wedding, because the commitment in me is different.
So and
I'm
like you said, you had plans that did not go as planned.
I've called off 2 engagements and 2 weddings, and 2
separate times. So that's 4.
2 separate times.
Damn.
Yeah, 2 separate times.
All right. So you know what you want. You gonna get what you want when you want it. What is your insight and advice to finding this husband out there?
I think it's to be completely open. I think it's to not be a stiff blade of grass. A stiff blade of grass, I say it in my book, Mental Detox, is a dying blade of grass. Meaning you have to not personalize life, but you have to live life. And you have to be okay with getting experiences without judging yourself as a woman based on what those experiences are. Whether the experience is a week or a month or a year and it doesn't work, you gotta be able to give fully what you want to give and what you want to invest without feeling like you were robbed in the event it doesn't work. Because the feeling of robbery then.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad she said that. I have heard women who self-identify with male worshiping culture, like women who are like, oh, I'm a wife, they kind of just really over-identify with that, or they're religious, or they're centering men, they will always say, you wasted your beauty on this man. You wasted all your prime, your beauty on this man. Or you wasted your time. Like, you're with this guy and you wasted your time. What? What are we in the 1950s? Wasted my beauty? I'm still a beautiful girl. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm aging like fine wine. And it's like, again, it's just that whole like very superficial desperation, worshiping of the males. Like, I've got to get back out there because with my beauty. Like, it's just like, what are you talking about? So you have nothing else to offer. So you're not beautiful because you're of a certain age. And then again, it also leads to, if you didn't want to be there, you could always just leave. You're a grown person. No one's holding a gun to your head, making you stay in a bad relationship for 8 years. I want to say Janae, but I'm not going to do it. But you know what I'm saying? So I've never left a marriage or a relationship and thought I wasted this amount. No, I learned and I lived, and that was my experience at that time. And now I'm on to the next chapter in my life. It's like a book. You're writing a book. This is your life, your experiences. And I'm just glad she's sounding normal now, because she's like, I guess now that I know she's single, it's like now she's sounding more relatable to me. But it's like, yeah, I don't believe in saying, oh, he robbed me of my beauty or my good years. Like, so you just nothing the rest of the time of your life? That's so sexist. Do guys be like, oh, my beauty, I wasted my prime and beauty on this woman? You know, and of course people can be like, well, guys are just known for their money. Well, however you want to put it. If you're saying that, like, if guys are like, man, I just wasted my money and wasted years and time on this, like, you are being very vain. You lived life and you gave it a shot and it didn't work. It's okay. Learn from it and move on. Don't dwell and be like, oh, I wasted my... And this is what the red pillar manosphere guys do. They're dwelling. Oh, back in high school, I liked this one girl. And I used to write her notes every day, and she didn't give me the time of day, and I just wasted my time. Shut up. Right? Like, get over yourself. Ugh. Everyone doesn't have to choose you. Keep it pushing. Like, seriously. There is no such thing as wasting. You're on your path that you're supposed to be on in your life. Everything happens for a reason. Everything's happening exactly as it should and as it is designed by God.
Dissipates you and your value and makes you question who you are and puts you in a doubtful space. And if we're talking about law of attraction, you can't attract high functioning from a place of low vibration. So you have to make sure that you understand that life is not doing nothing to you, it's doing it for you. It's meant to be lived and not personalized, and be okay with your experiences. And for the women who are up in age, when I say up in age, you could be in your 30s and you're not married yet and you are in your career or you're trying to figure things out. Make your self-talk question not be, why am I not married yet? Let your self-talk question and dialogue be, I'm proud of myself that I didn't choose out of despair, that I allowed myself as a woman to choose on my terms, on my time, and when I felt like it. Because when you do it like that, then it's more apt to work. So take your time and do you, and don't personalize it, because you have a lot of people who already been married a few times. That could easily be you. But for the people who have been married a few times and do have kids and they're co-parenting, I would say that number one, too, Get your emotional intelligence up. If you don't have a therapist and you can't afford it, read books on it. YouTube has free videos on emotional intelligence. And the best way to implement knowledge, because knowledge is not power, the implementation of knowledge is power, is to go out there and experience it. So for like myself, I had to date and get into conflict with men so that I can use my emotional intelligence tool. And I remember when I first started trying to use it, I'm like, damn, I totally messed that up. I blew that. Like, I totally blew that, right? I didn't mean to emasculate him, but damn, I didn't mean to come off that straw. I blew that up. But now it's to the point where it's on autopilot. Yeah. And I know the dialogue and I know the level of relationship I want. And then, too, don't knock yourself for showing up in ways that go against your ideology.
Right.
And be open to dating someone who is outside of your norm of what you think he should be, because what you think he should be is based on what you've already experienced. Yeah. And if what you experience is what you want, baby, go back. Yeah. But if not, be open to it. And let yourself be full woman, full feminine, full that. I'm out. I mean, I always say I'm hybrid, meaning I'm alpha submissive, because I'm definitely alpha, but I'm definitely submissive. And I couldn't be with a man that I couldn't be submissive with. Like, if my alpha is always in prone with you, then I like submitting. I like loving on you.
You hit exactly where I want to go. So in this, because even in the way you conduct yourself, even the intellect and the wisdom that you possess, it comes off very alpha and probably is intimidating to a lot of men. And then so either you find yourself being combative with another alpha, or you find yourself overtaking a man that can't match that energy.
I love that. I love that you said that. My last fiance was epitome of alpha. Just alpha, no beta, alpha. And it actually showed me submissive sides of me that I didn't know exist, that I fell in love with. And so when you're with an alpha who's a true alpha, there is safety there. And everything about your femininity, about your submissiveness will arise, and everything about your alpha dormants naturally. And so we didn't have an alpha battle, because it was something about his true alpha essence that turned me on so much that I wanted to stay in my feminine so that he can stay in the...
I love that she said that. It's so true. It is so true. When you are with a true alpha, which I've never actually experienced that, but a lot of men think they are alphas because they're rude, they're abrasive, they're crass, they're brutes. That's not alpha. Like, true men who are alphas, like, they are something about their essence. Like, they're successful, but it's like this quiet, like, strength that not much has to be said. They just get things done. And like she said, there's that security there. And women want stability. I will say this till I'm in the grave. Women want financial security. We want to know you're not going anywhere. You're not leaving us. You're not cheating on us, beating on us. Like, we don't want to be constantly in a state of shock or trauma, or these trauma responses are like, oh, I don't know what to expect today, anxiety. Women don't function well with that. And when you're constantly in a state, you're going to be an alpha because you don't feel secure. So you're going to have your guard up. You're going to have to be more combative and be ready to defend yourself. And that's not a good place for women. We would like to be more resting in our femininity and be more feminine. And so when men run around and they're like, I need you to submit, it's just so pathetic. And it's like they don't realize how stupid they sound. Because women are not just going to submit because you want them to. They do it because they feel secure in that relationship. They know their man's got it. They know he's got the bills. He's going to protect her. If they're out, she doesn't have to worry about anyone messing with her. They know he's going to protect her heart. He's not going to hurt her. Like, it's complete, unadulterated, just safety. Complete safety. Like, you even may feel like you can start a business with him because he makes you feel so secure in yourself. And now you have this confidence, this newfound confidence you didn't even know you had. It's like, oh, now I just feel like I can do anything when I have him behind me, holding me up, there to protect me, there to catch me if I fall. it's like a whole nother feeling, and you will submit like a like, and you just fold like a little dwindling leaf. So you don't have to, if you have to tell women to submit, you have to force it on them, then you're not an alpha male. And I don't think alpha males, because I can't speak for men, but I don't think they run around telling women to submit. They just have women submitting because they are who they are, and their energy shows up, and she's going to respond accordingly, because there has to be that balance. If you don't want the conflict, you're going to be balanced. If you are both, like they were saying, Nick and her were saying, like if they're both alpha, then yeah, they're going to be bumping heads. If they're both submissive, they're going to be having a problem. It's like no one's taking the lead. Someone has to lead. It has to have balance. That's the word of the forever. Balance. Balance. Remember that word. If the woman is not submitting with you, incels, it's because you are not an alpha. And every male thinks they are, because they're so egotistical. You're not an alpha male. Every man is not an alpha male. Deal with it. And they want to call men who are nice to women, protective of women, speak out to protect women. They want to call them simps, or like, oh, that's a beta male. That's actually probably more the alpha male than the man with the microphone degrading women all day. Because why do you need to like put us down? So we can be down at the bottom with you? It's ridiculous.
Balancing, right, of alpha, because had I moved to alpha, we wouldn't have been equally yoked. Does that make sense? Either he would have had to go beta, or we would have done this. And his alphaness, because it was the first time I was with a true alpha man, was so attractive to me that from the kitchen to the bedroom, it made me wide open submissive in ways that I didn't even. I remember saying don't want to do them things, and I started saying, when we gonna do them things again? Because I was so in my feminine. And let me say this, ladies and Nick, that one experience may have not worked, but that is what ignited my femininity in me. And from there, Nick, I've never gone back. Like every man that I've calibrated has been in his alpha, that has allowed me to stay in my submissiveness. Okay. Does that make sense? And so it's the law. That man was so pivotal in shifting my calibration for me, that even though it didn't work, that was a blessing in itself.
There it is. Okay, so as we wrap up.
And so that goes to show right there that it is beautiful, because it goes full circle. That's basically saying there is no such thing as you wasted your beauty. You wasted your time in a relationship. She just said a whole word right there. You learn something about yourself in every relationship. You learn what you like and don't like in your future partner, or hopefully your forever partner, and you grow. You evolve. You can become more of a woman or more of a man out of these relationships. So there is no such thing as you wasted your time. And I feel like when you have a child, that definitely, if you want to be a parent, you definitely don't ever feel like you wasted your time, because you're like, I got this beautiful child out of it, or I have my children out of that relationship. And you feel like, I don't regret it, because if I didn't meet him and put, even if he was awful or whatever, I wouldn't have this beautiful baby. That's how parents who love their children and wanted children and want children, that's how they look at it. A childless person looks at it and be like, oh, well, she had it, and she left, he made her a baby mama, or he made her a single mother. Like, they look at it in this negative, glass half empty type of way. Because for them, they don't like kids or themselves or both. And so they're like, oh, you wasted your time because you got with him. He didn't even marry you. But for a parent who wants to be a parent, we don't see it as a waste of time, because you wouldn't have been able to get your child or children if you wouldn't have spent time with that person and been in love with that person. And what's that saying? Better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. So if that's the case, then there is no such thing as wasting time. You were in love, and you tried to do something, and you learned from it, hopefully. A lot of people don't. They just continue to make the same mistakes over and over, and then they become bitter, and everyone else has to hear about it. But, that's just part of life. You're not going to know, a lot of times you're not going to know what you want till you experience it. Like she said, like she didn't even know she was submissive until she got with this man who was a real alpha male. And now she knows exactly what to look for in her forever partner. And she's awakened things she didn't even know she had. And I know I've been there. I know I've learned things about myself from relationships I was in. So I've never looked at a relationship like, oh, what a waste. That's just negative. That's such a negative way to look at life. And if you feel like you wasted your time, you only have yourself to blame. Because that means you're waiting on something that didn't happen. And you should be living in the now. You should be in appreciating that moment, in that moment for what it is, in the present. Instead of looking to the future or looking back behind you, live in the now. Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Y'all check that book out. I love it. I actually got it on Audible because there's no way I would have been able to read through it because I'm a busy mom. So I would just put it on and put my headphones on and listen to it while I clean the house or whatever I'm doing. But that book, I'm going to read it again. It was very powerful. And it just teaches you about living in the now. Instead of, like, if you're always thinking about your future or your past, you're always going to be unhappy. Because you're always kind of searching for something else. Or you're always looking back like, I wasted my youth. I wasted my good years. Those years are gone and I could have... Just be grateful that you're alive right now. And look around you and be grateful for what you have in your life right now. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have kids who love you? Do you have a car and a job? You know what I'm saying? Like, just be grateful for where you are right now. Why do you have to always be like, oh, my youth, I wasted my beauty. Some people see people more beautiful as they get older. Some people like people who are wise. And there's someone for everyone. So your person's going to probably come when you're like 60. And that's when you're the most beautiful to that person. Maybe like, I know I've heard people say, and I'm included, like if you would say, if I met this person 10 years ago, it wouldn't have worked. So it's like you're meeting the people you're supposed to meet them when you meet them. Maybe it's a learning experience, or maybe it's going to be your forever person that you're meeting once you've done the work and you have the growth. Now, a relationship that you couldn't have made happen long term, or you didn't see yourself ever getting married, maybe those things are different now because you were able to grow through your experiences up until that point. And so your forever person came exactly when they were meant to come. Which is what it is.
Get into your business just a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're sharing a lot. You already done beat me up for session after session. So, as transparent and as candid as you would like to be, you said, like, literally, there's been 4 times that you've almost went down the altar. Right?
I almost went down.
Yeah. Well, taking the long walk.
Look at that long haul.
Why hasn't it worked? And whose fault is it? Because you've been talking about accountability. Yep. You've been talking about high functioning. And you literally told me that I'm probably in my situation because of the type of high functioning and low functioning people I'm choosing.
Yep.
Why hasn't it worked for you? Because
for the first few, I was low functioning. And I was still in my healing journey. And so I law of attracted low functioning. And
the first, you're saying that happened all 4 or just the first?
The first, I would say like the first 2 or 3. Definitely low functioning of myself. So
when you say that, because I want you to break that down, like what were you desiring? How were you low functioning that found things that where you thought this was your match, this was your person, and then it still didn't go through because you were low functioning?
I take accountability. It was my fault because I knew all of them were not my person from the beginning.
So, and there is a person? There's one person out there for you?
I don't think there's one person. I think that there's many people that are for everyone. I think that is just
so you're a type of person. You're a person that's on your frequency.
The type of person that you feel I want to do this with you forever. I think that's your person. If that happens 4 or 5 times, that's amazing. You know, for me, I knew that I didn't want to do any of them forever. Not because they weren't great men. I knew subconsciously that I was choosing because they were what I needed for that season. And I got caught up in, we're here, this man is amazing, faithful as hell, loves me, takes full care of me, even though I'm in my own professional field. And so I learned not to thrive, but to survive in that. And because I'm a little girl who grew up surviving and not thriving, I didn't understand what thriving was yet. And so I allowed my survival mechanism and my lack of sense of self, right, and my brokenness to choose what it needed there. And because it chose something that allowed me to stay broken, I stayed longer. Does that make sense? Because what they were feeding me, which was allowing me to be toxic, allowing me to be dysfunctional in that relationship, and even allowing me sometimes to be abusive, even if it was verbally, in that relationship without fleeing. Because these men were not fleers, without fleeing or at least saying, hold on. This is not cool. We got to figure this out. It was just, I love you. And like you were saying about these babies being number one, you can run amok and I'm going to be right here for the muck 2 or 3. That may be what we want coming from abandoned little control freaks, but that ain't what we need. And so when I had that, all it did was inflame the dysfunction that I was.
Right.
Luckily, I was able to look in the mirror and say, hold on, I'm looking at all this inflammation. I don't want this with me and my husband. I don't want this for my kids. I don't want this for me as a woman. I don't want this for my other relationships. And then when I pulled out other relationships, I ended up doing a lot of looking at myself. So over this 4 years I've been single, I have said no before the ring. I've said no at the conversation of, I would love to marry you. I didn't say no bluntly, but I said, look, that's not something I'm ready for now.
Right.
Maybe we could take a little slow. But in 4 years, and I say this with all humility, I promise all humility, whatever it is that I calibrate, whatever it is in me, whatever daddy issues my father made sure I did not have,
right.
There's something about me, I'm not joking, that calibrates really good men who are ready to get married. And so this is why I say it's not their fault,
right.
Because these men wasn't no infidelity.
Right.
These men they weren't beating on me.
Yeah.
I attract good men, but I wasn't in the space of being ready to marry them because I needed them.
It's so interesting she said that because I think you would call her like what, quote unquote, wifey material. I've had guys tell me like I'm that type of person. And this one guy even told me, he like barely met me, but I guess he just could tell my energy or how I was talking to him. I don't know. But he was just like, every guy you meet is going to want to marry you. Like they're going, and I was like, what do you mean? And I was like young. I was like in my 20s and I was actually going through a divorce. So I was like, I don't know about that. And he was like, he's like, because you're wife material. Like you're like a wife, like what men will look for, I guess. And I'm thinking, like, this guy's lost his mind. But I think he was onto something. And I still don't know really what wife material is. But I feel like she probably presents that way, too. So, when she said what she said, I can completely attest to it. Because that's what happened with my ex-husband. I felt like I wasn't ready. And I was like, this is what I need for this season. So, I'm going to just do it. But I don't feel like I was ready at all, and that's why it didn't work. And so yeah, and that's why a lot of times I just take the blame. I'm like, it was my fault, like I just wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready. And that's why I try to tell people, like, women are not always just ready for marriage like that. And I hate how they just assume that we all want that and we're all ready for it, and it's just like a lot of pressure when you're not thinking on that same wavelength. It's like you're kind of being forced into something you don't want to do. And yeah, I can definitely attract good men. Can I keep them? Probably not, because I'm not healed. I have daddy issues or whatever, which I wouldn't say I have. I guess I do. I definitely have abandonment issues because I had a dad, but I definitely have abandonment issues for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what happened. Is like he was letting me, there was no infidelity. There was none of that. It was just, I was able to be centered to the point where I just was showing out even more. It's like I don't have any boundaries. He's putting me first for everything. And I just didn't know how to like just stop myself and be just doing the right things. It was like, I'm feeling emboldened to just really act out, and it just wasn't healthy. And I knew, like, okay, I need to get out of this because I can't breathe. I'm suffocating. Like, I just need to be free. It's hard to explain.
Big step too, though.
Yeah.
Like, you talking
but
about
I needed them to be good. But I needed them to be good for me, Nick, because I needed something good to be reflected on me, if that makes sense, for my healing journey.
Right.
And so once I was able to see that, I'm able to go into, okay, this is what I know I need to do. And there's a lot of checkmating of myself. There's a lot of ways I refuse to ever show up with a man. There's a lot of alpha things that I would never say or do with a man because of me calling off and because of those men being amazing enough to stick through my BS and let me run amok. But they were, say it again with all respect, they were like buffers. And it's not in a bad way. I'm saying they were those buffers that were just sturdy oaks. And from an abandoned little girl, what do you think we need most? We need someone who's going to be a sturdy oak. You never leave.
And this is what I hate too, is like the fact that we do this to men. I just worry, like, I hope we didn't ruin them because we were having our weird issues or whatever. Like, I hope they remain that sturdy oak for a woman who is where she needs to be emotionally, mentally, to be like that good woman for them. Because I feel like when you find people like that who are just good, they deserve all the wonderful things that life has to offer, that God has to offer. And so that's like my only thing I don't like, because I was the same way. I feel like you can be a good person and then people screw you over and you're like, now I'm bad. But then you'll meet someone who's good and you're being bad to the wrong people. So I learned that the hard way. So yeah, I just hope that her bad behavior was not like negatively impacting these men where now they're no longer trusting who they are. And hopefully they'll hear this interview and know like they did nothing wrong. It was her. Because, you know, people say, it's not you, it's me. It's like, sometimes that's really true. It isn't you, it's me and my stuff that I need to work through.
You never leave, no matter what I put you through. Right? No matter how toxic I am, you ain't gonna leave. No matter how many times I flee, you ain't gonna leave.
So then maybe, I mean, again, because there's a lot of women out there who feel that their independence is so strong that they don't need a man in their experience. So, like, what, again, as I tap into my fatherhood, I'm telling my daughter, like, you can have one if you want one.
That's what my dad used to tell me, baby. He gave me a ring on my ring finger at 16 and said, beautiful, whole lot of diamonds. Like, don't take it off till a man gives you a ring. Well, I've had 4 of them. But he also said, baby, you know, you're successful, you're a powerhouse, you ain't got to marry. But I explained to him, Daddy, but I am.
So why does a strong woman want to marry?
Because it does give some completion to the completion, if that makes sense. For me, I want to be a mom, so that's important to me, right? But I want a family, not just kids. Otherwise, I can adopt. Obviously, I can financially afford it, but and I want that family dynamic.
You want the traditional household.
I want the traditional household. Will it look like tradition? Maybe not.
Right.
I think for me, being a successful woman, the biggest thing has been, and the biggest conversation with my father and I and my uncle Montel is, Shy, what if you make more than him? Are you okay with that? Because there was a time where I wasn't okay with it. And now I've gotten to a place where I do so well, you know, that I'm saying, well, if he does make a little less, but he can't, but he can provide.
Driver and the janitor a shot.
You know, if the janitor owns a janitorial company.
Oh, see, now he got to own the whole damn company.
But this
he
is the
can't
thing.
Be a good janitor.
Let me say this. It doesn't matter how much more I make than him. If he can provide for us and provide a quality of life for us, I don't really give it.
But
I don't care.
You the one that's doing that.
For myself.
But if you're
and my family. And my family.
She does not want to admit that she is Ebony K. Williams all over again. It's like, girl, just go ahead and say you're a hypergamous, because that is natural. I think for us, though, especially because of how we're conditioned in this country, it's a capitalist society. Like, why do not date down? You will regret it. You want the surest way to have a nightmare relationship. Surest way for your relationship not to work. Marry a guy that makes less than you. And she said, yeah, he has to own the janitorial company. Exactly. So it's like she's saying, you know, he can make less than me, but he needs to be making enough for me to live the life I'm living, you know. And I don't know how realistic that is, because it's like, is she living below her means? Is that what she's trying to say? And so maybe he makes less, but he can still afford to continue her maintain the lifestyle she currently has with what he's making, or like how does that work? How do you maintain her lifestyle where she's making more when you don't make as much as her? How does that happen?
Well, you can take care, like, so he don't necessarily got to put, and he could be a provider and a protector without
my man financially.
Yeah.
I don't, for me personally, I wouldn't, only because it would put me too much in an alpha space.
Y'all would be equally yoked.
And then I don't know how much my old norm would not come out. And because I know myself,
that we be
that respect
searching for when we enter the house wouldn't be
when
there.
you say daddy's home, that means more than just your home and your presence.
So now you just narrowed your circle so much smaller. Now you got to have a high functioning, high value.
Yes.
Like,
and let me tell you something though.
Rich ass man.
Or at least if he ain't rich, he got to be doing something that makes. And I'm not saying rich, he just has to be
rich in spirit.
This is what I've learned. This is what I've learned. I've learned that it's not the amount of money that someone makes that creates the quality of life. Because I have constituencies that make way less and way more than me.
Right.
And my constituents that make way more, I'm talking about astronomically more than me, I live the same quality of life they do.
So you just want somebody with some initiative and some aspirations and
I'm
dreams.
41. So somebody who, he ain't, I'm not.
Is he done dreaming?
Can
he be a younger man?
He may have to, because I want a man with no kids, because I want my own family.
You want a man with no kids?
So go on down,
This nigga ain't out there. You looking for Jesus.
Yes.
And he still ain't came back.
Can we please find Jesus? Let Jesus.
You want a single,
Jesus could carry the cross.
rich,
Jesus could be
high functioning, smart.
Yes.
That nigga is
Jesus
not. He got
Jesus
bitches.
could be crucified and saved and resurrected. Yes, God, bring me Jesus.
There is no single man with no kids that is rich.
Nick, I date them.
Not know.
I date them.
I
date them all the time.
They ain't where they at.
Baby, I date them. They're dating.
If she dates them, she needs to give Ebony K. Williams a few of those guys. If there's a them, she just out here dating them, you might want to give Ebony K. Williams number out to a few of them so she can have the man, because they sound like the same woman the way they're talking. She's trying to sound as bad as Ebony K. Williams, but Ebony K. Williams was even trying to like walk it back because she was being judged so harshly by Ian Vincent. But child, bye. He need to make more than me. Like she said, that would put you in your alpha if you had to provide, and he's just sitting up in the house resting his femininity. That's not going to work. Because I guess the society we live in, guys are going to feel emasculated and then become abusive and need to quote unquote humble you, which is where they also, part of the abuse is cheating, verbal abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, so on and so forth. And yeah, she's claiming these guys exist. Then you need to give Ebony K. Williams a call and hook your sister up, okay? Because she just had a baby by herself. Because times must be, she seemed to be having a hard time meeting the right guy. So I don't know.
So dating, I don't have to rush into marriage because
that are single, fully single,
fully single,
just you,
fully single,
no kids,
fully single, no kids, baby. And they're younger, though. They're 32, 33. They're younger, yes. I'm not saying they 40. They are younger.
All right. But even those dudes, come on now.
No,
You telling me those men that you talking about don't got options?
I'm sure they do, but why? I'm not concerned with options.
And so, so because as high valued as you are and as high functioning you are, they're probably that's why they got those.
I want to say that this is the thing about being high functioning and calibrating someone who's high functioning. It's very good, but you got to be ready for that, because they also come on their square as well, saying, I'm high functioning, and so I may not tolerate you when you decide if your old habits come in to run this muck.
Yeah.
So what I've learned through this is, if my old habits is something that's going to be more overtaken in the relationship, then I gotta accept a low functioning man, just like you with the low functioning woman you deal with, because he has to be able to tolerate my stuff.
Yeah.
But if I do get with a high functioning man equally yoked to me, then there is going to be a lot of awareness I have to have, because he's also like me, not going to tolerate low functioning behavior that is abusive or disrespectful.
That doesn't really make sense because she just said the guys that she was just talking to before were all high functioning and she was able to run amok and they were never going to leave her. And I know my ex-husband, he told me he would have never divorced me either. But I feel like that's more just men. They're just not going to be single and they can stay in whatever and they're codependent. So they're not going anywhere. Once they finally get married, men benefit from marriage more. So like, where are they going? But yeah, that definitely contradicts again what she just said because she said she dated nothing but high functioning males. Let her tell it, and so it's like, and they were just perfect and letting her run amok and all over the place. So why would this guy? How's this guy any different? And I think she's trying to explain it away because she doesn't want to admit that she's not special and that these guys are probably quote unquote special and also probably quote unquote the prize because they are going to be an anomaly. Like they are a very rare find to find a man who's high functioning and rich and high value and like all these wonderful things and like they don't have a roster. Yeah, right. And now she's going to try to make it seem like, oh, if they're high functioning, then he's not going to be the type to be sleeping around when like literally every guy does.
See what I mean?
At your perfection, high functioning, that shit ain't always gonna happen.
But it shouldn't happen. No, it shouldn't happen. It should be we're both high functioning enough to stick through this stuff.
Yeah.
Not to not have toxicity. Remember I just said
because an alpha male who has everything that you desire and he's young. He gonna act out of ego. He's gonna act out of certain.
100%. His emotional intelligence isn't all the way there yet. You're right.
Yeah. So you're right. And in that, you're gonna have to put up with some shit.
You're right.
And therefore,
absolutely.
I mean, I wish you the best.
But that's confusing to me because I feel like if he's high functioning, like a high vibrational person, then he wouldn't be acting on ego because that's like lower functioning, lower vibe. But I like that Nick is giving her some pushback because she's trying to act like, oh, my life is so perfect and I have everything figured out and I'm only dealing with perfect guys. I'm like, where are all these perfect guys at?
That's where the maturity of we're going to go through some dysfunction and it's not about the dysfunction. It's about us sticking through it to get to the promised land. The promised land comes over and over and over again. It's not one landing.
I'm not disagreeing.
When you flee and come back and you guys get to a resolve, that's the promised land. And then when it happens again, you're out the promised land. Then you're working to get back.
And so that's called a relationship.
All a relationship is how do we get back to our square together and get us off of our own squares? How do we get back to this one square? That's it.
Well, ladies, you heard it. From another high-functioning woman to all the high-functioning women out there.
All of the functioning
y'all in the
people.
Good fight.
All of the functioning
people. Keep up the
people.
good fight of faith. Because that make-believe nigga is out there. This has been another session. I don't know where we ended because my toxicity level is.
I need to jump on you and pop you. Shut up.
We can do this for hours. I mean, these sessions have become very popular. As you can see, continue to comment, like, and subscribe. But we definitely have to have you back. You're amazing. Truly the highest class of civilization. Council culture. We had fun on this one. We got Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, y'all.
See y'all.